Okay, so we are going to be able to define inference here very shortly after I start this video. Don't scramble to write down the definition that's on the video because we're going to come up with our own definition, okay? And I'm going to stop the video as we go. This video is on YouTube. It is making inferences. Here we go.
Video is all about making inferences. By the end of this video, you will be able to define the word inference, define textual evidence, read closely in a text to make inferences, and analyze an author's words to determine multiple pieces of textual evidence that support your inferences. So, you might be asking, what is an inference? The fact is, you make inferences every single day, usually without even realizing it. For example, if you sit down next to your best friend at lunch and she moves to another table, you might infer that she is angry at you, or that you smell funny. Or if you get home from school and your dog jumps up and starts licking your face at the door, you can infer that he is happy to see you. Basically, an inference is an educated guess based on the evidence that is right in front of us, combined with our past experiences. Inferences are definitely required in everyday life.
All right, so we're going to stop there for a second. Let's define inference in our own words. So what is an inference? We're going to define this in our own words, and we're going to write it down in our reader's notebook, okay? Yes, dear. An educated guess, okay, based on what two things? What two things are we going to need on this educated guess? An educated guess based on, anybody remember? So, which is evidence. So it's based on evidence, which is, you know, textual, could be textual, right? Based on evidence and also our background knowledge. That is what we already know, okay? So it is an educated guess based on textual evidence and based on our background knowledge. I'll give you a second to write that down. All right, now that we have written that down, let's keep watching the video and we're going to talk our way through it.
But
Whoa.
they're also required when we are reading, watching movies, and even listening to music. In your notes, list 3 inferences that you can make from this picture.
All right, we're not going to list them. Let's talk about them. What are 3 inferences? We just have a picture. It's not necessarily textual evidence, but we have a picture right in front of us. What are some inferences that we can make? She's sick. All right, you can see that. She's got her droopy eyes. She looks like she doesn't feel good. She's got her ice pack on her head. Yes. She looks like she doesn't like being on the phone. Maybe this is not a phone call that she wants to make. Maybe she didn't get much sleep. What made you say that? Her eyes. And what do you think she's got in that mug? Coffee. So if you're tired, your eyes look tired, and you drink, trust me, you drink a lot of coffee when you're tired, which is where my energy comes from in the morning. Does anybody want to take a guess or make an inference as to who she's on the phone with? Her boss. She's probably calling off sick because, you know, you do the ice pack on your head because you don't feel well, right? And she's on the phone. She clearly doesn't look right. And so, or maybe it's tea. Maybe, what do you think her temperature is right now? She's probably got a fever. Because remember, you know, when you have a fever, your body gets super cold. So that is probably a hot beverage since it's in a mug, right? And she's trying to warm herself up. Yes, sir. She also could be on the phone with the doctor. Yeah, because if she doesn't feel well, maybe she's calling the doctor. Good. We made more than 3 inferences, clearly, right? Good job. Let's keep watching.
Good job. Good readers are constantly making inferences as they read literature or informational texts. This is because writers don't always tell us everything explicitly. They want us to think a little bit about what we are reading. For example, read the following paragraph with me as I read it aloud.
And I'm going to read it because I want to. And you guys just get to hear my voice even more because you're blessed. Katie was excited about tonight. Happily, she put on her big red shoes and bright yellow outfit. Her mom helped Katie paint her face, white with a big red circle on each cheek. Just before Katie ran out the door to meet her friends, she attached her large, squeaky nose and placed a bright blue pointy hat on top of her head. She grabbed an empty bag and went out into the night. First of all, anybody want to make an inference as to where Katie is going? Yes, dear. She's doing something Halloweeny. Anyone want to guess even more? Trick or treating. And how are we assuming she's going trick or treating? The one behind you. Me? Yes. She's got an empty bag, and you want to go and grab all of the candy when you go trick-or-treating, right? And then you want to bring it into, like, your favorite language arts teachers, right? We like chocolate. I'm just saying. It's good. It's good stuff. Yeah, she's going trick-or-treating. She has her empty bag, and clearly she's not wearing a normal outfit. What is she dressing up as? Big red squeaky nose, a clown. Now, did they ever come out and say, hey, I'm going as a clown and I'm going trick-or-treating? No, you know that because first of all, you know what clowns look like, which are scary, but you know what clowns look like. And you also know that when you go trick-or-treating, you take an empty bag because you want to take all of the candy. And typically your age, if you go with your friends, right? So that's why, she's getting ready to meet her friends and she's excited because it's something different. And again, all of the candy. Okay. So I'm going to fast forward so that since we just kind of talked through it. Now, we looked at specific things, okay? We looked at very specific things that helped us. That is the evidence. So the squeaky nose and bright blue pointy hat, that was the evidence that proved the clown. The empty bag, that was the evidence that proved the trick-or-treating. Now, and we already have that background knowledge of this is what a clown looks like and this is what trick-or-treating is. All right, so what we're going to do now is we are going to define text evidence.
Are what we call textual evidence. Textual evidence is specific information from a text that we use to support our inferences.
Okay, right here, I want you to write that down in your reader's notebook, right under the definition of an inference.
Now that you understand how to make inferences and use textual evidence to support them, you're ready to take the quiz over inferences.
You're not taking a quiz.
Created using Powtoon.
I guess I didn't have to finish that. But no, you are not taking a quiz over it. However, what you guys are going to start doing, you know how when we do Drums Girls Dangerous Pie, we model the skill with Drums Girls Dangerous Pie, and then you practice it with your own book. So that's what's going to happen today. Today we are going to read chapter 13, and we're going to pause 3 times as we read. And it's not a super long chapter, but we're going to pause 3 times as we read. And then after we model it with us, then you guys are going to try it with your own independent novel. And then we are going to end the day with some homework where you are going to practice with inferencing, okay? I know I don't give a ton of homework. You've literally had 1 so far this week. This is time for number 2, okay? All right, so I have this graphic organizer here. I will say, instead of you guys feverishly trying to write this down, if you want to, I will scan this at the end of class. I'll scan it and I'll put it in Schoology so you guys can keep this in front of you. Now, what you need to focus on, you are going to use what the text says, okay? Very specifically, textual evidence. I'm pulling this directly out of the text. This is my background knowledge. This knowledge can come from previously read stuff, like something I've already read from the book, or it can come from, well, as a human being, I know this. And then your inference is that guess. That is what Jordan Sonnenblick, or the author of your book, is coming out to say, or is trying to say, but doesn't necessarily come out to say word for word, this is what it is, okay? So I'm going to pause my recording while we're doing this, but I will resume the recording every time we stop to write the inference, okay? There is one that does show up fairly quickly. Okay, so they're playing, he's having this dream, they're playing, and he says, Jeffrey says, so we're going to say Stephen has dreams that Jeffrey says you're their only son. You're their only boy now, right? So if those are his dreams, first of all, what do we know about Jeffrey's illness? It could kill him. What is his survival chance? 50%. Did you notice how you guys already knew that because of what you read? Yeah. So that's your background knowledge. So I know that Jeffrey has cancer, right? And has about 50% survival rate. So let's make an inference. What is Stephen worried about? What is he worried about? Why is he having these dreams? Yeah, he's really worried that Jeffrey might die. So he has that happy-go-lucky time, and then seeing all those bruises, clearly he's really worried that, okay, we could be having a good time, and then all of a sudden he might die, right? He's really worried. Me? Skills. That Jeffrey might die. All right. I'm going to pause it. We're going to keep reading chapter 13. We're going to make another inference, okay? So he just said, Renee Albert, right? Lost my color-coded pens. Here we go. He just said, Renee Albert. Hey, guys, focus, please. We'll say Renee Albert took the piece of gum. Took the piece of gum from my instantly sweaty palm. Let's talk for a second. Now, first of all, what do we know about how he feels about her, right? What do we know? We know. That's our background knowledge. We know Stephen loves Renee, right? What also do we know? What happens with our bodies? Like, why would our palms sweat? Exactly. We know, that's your inference. We know that when you get nervous, your palms sweat, right? We know that nervousness, gentlemen, we know that nervousness causes sweaty palms. So my inference there, that's PALMS. My inference there, and one of you already said it, is that Stephen is what now? Well, we know he's in love, but what are his emotions right now? Right now in this moment. His hands are sweaty. He's feeling extremely nervous, right? Stephen is nervous to be talking to Renee.
I was kind of feel relieved too,
Oh, I'd be nervous if somebody came up to me and said, "Do you have a crush on me now?" Like, I would be like, my heart's beating. Stephen is nervous talking to her. All right. Some things are happening. We're getting excited. We are going to keep reading chapter 13. We will make one more inference as we keep reading. He just said he was trying to talk to Mrs. Galley, and he said, he's going on, and he said, I paused, and she quickly slid a box of tissues over to me. Okay, so talking about his dream, we're gonna paraphrase this. We're not gonna do a direct quote. Talking about his dream, and Mrs. Galley, slid the tissues to him, right? First of all, what do we know about tissues and when you need them? When you cry, right? And when we cry, it's usually when we're feeling what? All right. So we cry, people cry when they're overwhelmed, right? What do we also know about Mrs. Galley? Oops, that's the wrong there. Heavens. What else do we know about Mrs. Galley? Is she good? Yeah, Mrs. Galley is her job is to listen, right? Her job is to be there for him. Mrs. Galley has been there for Stephen, right? So what inference can we make about what's going to happen with Mrs. Galley and Stephen? What inference can we make about what is he about to do? What is happening with his eyes?
About the cross.
Yeah, we know. We can infer Stephen is about to cry. And kind of just, I guess, word vomit his feelings, right? He's going to get super emotional and just kind of just blah, right? He's just going to let it all come out, right? And just reveal everything he's been holding in. And if you notice, Jordan Sonnenblick did not come out and say Stephen looked like he was about to cry. But we made that inference because we know, well, when I cry, I know I need tissues. And we made that inference because, well, I know he's about to cry because when people cry, you can just kind of, I need my brother. And you could just tell that emotion was brimming out, right? Okay, let's keep reading chapter 13. Here is what, after we have our 3 inferences from Drums, Girls, and Dangerous Pie, it is your turn to try it, okay? Here is what you are going to do. You are going to get out your independent novel and read, and then in Schoology, okay, in the classroom materials section, under reading, under Drums, Girls, Dangerous Pie, you're going to scroll down here, this making inferences check. This tells me that, first of all, you understand what you're reading, but this also tells me, you got to click this so it opens in a new tab. This also tells me that you are able to make an inference, okay? So you will put your first and last name. You're going to tell me what book you're reading, and you are simply going to make one. Now, it's kind of out of order with the notes that we just took. The inference is here's the guess I'm making. So when you guys were like, he's nervous talking to her, that was the first thing you said. You actually make the inference first. That's just what we seem to do. You make that guess first. So you would say Stephen is nervous talking to her. So the text evidence, what happened in the story that led to you making that inference, you would say Renee took the piece of gum from my instantly sweaty palm. Don't forget to put quotation marks and page numbers, especially the page numbers, okay? And then the last one is provide the background knowledge. This is where you would say, like, Stephen was nervous, or people get nervous. When people get nervous, they sweat, okay? You're going to do this. Then at about 10 minutes left in class, so you guys have a decent amount to get started, but with about a couple minutes left in class, I'm going to stop you, and I'm going to give you your homework, which is a short story, and we're going to continue to practice making inferences, okay? All right, so as soon as you get this submitted, you're just going to keep reading and jotting inferences. And then, like I said, near the end of class is when I will stop you to give you your homework, okay? All right, infer, my friends.